Hello, everyone. I'm Kelly Covert, and I'm so excited to bring another community spotlight to you all. Today, I have Steve Butler here with CNY Arts, and CNY Arts is a big part of why Symphoria is here. They're a big supporter of Symphoria, and I am really thankful that you could be here with us, Steve.
Well, thanks so much for having me, Kelly.
Of course. So why don't you tell us a little bit about CNY Arts and what you do in the community?
Well, CNY Arts is a regional arts council. And, 100 years ago, more like 65, it was known as the Cultural Resources Council. And one of the things that it did was help to raise the money and build the Civic Center Theater Complex downtown. And so we are a textbook case of public-private partnership that still gets written about in college arts administration programs today. But as the years went on, we began working with the New York State Council on the Arts, of course, as many other arts councils did, and giving out grants. So currently, we give out re-grants in 6 counties, 5,500 square miles, Herkimer, Oneida, Madison, Cortland, Oswego, and Onondaga. And we also give out the County of Onondaga funding. We run a comprehensive collaborative marketing program to bolster attendance and raise awareness about what's going on in the region. And that's just a couple of the big things that we do.
Mm-hmm. So I think this is so interesting because people might not recognize that they use CNY Arts because they go to your wonderful calendar that you have that has all of the arts and cultural events that are happening. And even these days, when it seems like stuff isn't happening, your schedule, or your calendar, I should say, is still full. Why don't you tell us what are some of the things that you see organizations doing these days?
Sure thing. First, I just want to comment that it's okay if they don't know who we are. The whole point of the calendar is that they know who you are.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yes, you're very welcome. And that's that is our job. Our mission is to support, promote, and celebrate arts, culture, and heritage in the Central New York region. And so we're here to promote you and all the organizations and individual artists, as well as the heritage sites and cultural institutions. So the calendar does its job. So I just want to be clear about that. But, immediately, actually, it's not exactly what we did, but everybody in the arts, because really the arts, what are we? We are about telling stories. We are about communicating music, sharing a vision through visual arts. Everyone turned to some kind of social media platform and began providing content to the region through whatever their capacity and skill set was to produce these events and get them up onto social media. And interestingly enough, as we went into, if you want to call it lockdown or quarantine, most people turned to the arts for consolation, comfort, and joy, and were participating in these events. So what we did immediately is we immediately changed our calendar and said, we're not putting live events here now because of the closures, but anything you're doing virtually, please list it. We created a new category. We called everybody. We sent out email blasts to all of what we call the populators of the calendar, which are all the arts, culture, heritage sites and individuals, the creatives that are doing gig work that they want seen, and encourage them to start putting it onto the calendar. And then, of course, sharing that to Facebook. We have an events page on the Facebook site. And so we just continued to promote it. And what we found was we keep Google Analytics on the calendar. We won't get into all the technology of that, but we found that visitation was pretty constant right from the beginning, from mid-March on, that people were continuing to come to the calendar to look to see what they could find.
Oh, that's so fascinating. For those of us, not of us, but those people who are watching right now who aren't familiar with that calendar, where can they find that?
Well, if you go to CNYArts.org, it pops you to our website and it'll say right there, go to the events calendar, or you can put in cnyarts.org/events and it will take you right there.
Fantastic. And we will be sure to link to that in the Facebook post so everyone can go check it out. I know we have a lot of events on there, and we're so thankful to CNY Arts for really making that shift. As we made that shift, it made it very easy for us to get the word out that things are still happening, even if we have to be at home.
And your team has been great about that.
Mm-hmm. What do you see CNY Arts, what role do you see CNY Arts playing as we move through this period of consuming culture? Like beyond the scheduling piece, as we are consuming arts and culture from home, how do you see CNY Arts as being a meaningful part of that?
Well, as soon as the orders came down, the directives came down to shutter first the venues of 500 seats and more, and then all venues. We immediately reached out across the counties, across the region, and actually a couple of counties that are not generally in our region, to put together some meetings to say, what do you want? And of course, the organizations wanted us to communicate to the funders, that this was very dire news for the community, and of course, willingly doing our part, but that it had huge implications for earned income, as well as for, unearned income with what was happening. And we also looked at a number of surveys that they could fill out about the impact of the pandemic on their operations. And they said that, these didn't quite fit the bill for what they were looking for, and asked us to design our own survey. The Community Foundation really jumped, we came in with a request and they jumped right on it and turned funding around. So we were able to do this survey. And we found some very not surprising, but shocking, or not shocking, but surprising statistics. And they're troubling. Even over between what was actually lost and what is projected to be lost by the end of September 13, the organizations that responded in aggregate and individual artists, and it was about 275 overall, was a loss of $15 million.
Oh, wow.
And that organizations might not have cash reserves to continue to operate beyond the middle to the end of October. Mm-hmm. So we have decided that we need to create a $1 million relief fund for the arts, which is very ambitious of us. Mm-hmm. Normally the model that we work in. So that's a big part of what we'll be working on in the weeks ahead. We will also continue to advocate. We will help provide technical assistance and direct people to the reopening directives and certifications. We are talking with many stakeholders that are possibly in a position to help about the costs of the equipment and supplies needed to ready a facility for a live audience, as well as maintain that facility once live audiences start coming back in. And I think, as you may know, in this wave of phase 4, really that is more the visual arts institutions and cultural heritage sites at this point in time that are now being told they are ready. We, of course, keep in touch with our colleagues in New York City and elsewhere, talking to people who represent, Equity, SAG, AFTRA, IATSE, the unions, to find out when they are going to feel safe working to get film, theater, television production, music, concerts, in big halls that require IATSE, and, when they'll be ready and what safety protocols they will need, and then sharing that with our stakeholders and advocating significantly. Mm-hmm. That's just a few of the things on our list.
Just a few, just a short list. Well, the good news is you will be busy. You won't be like my children who are home for summer, bored all of the time. But what I think I would like to ask you one last question is for the person who's sitting at home watching this, who is not an artist or a performer, what can they do right now to really support arts and culture here in Central New York?
Well, I'm going to give several suggestions. If you go to CNYArts.org to the page to donate, there's a couple of campaigns that we've already launched. And one of those is for small organizations and individual artists who have been severely impacted. Another campaign was started by a group of high school students at Jamesville DeWitt who started a GoFundMe campaign, created a performance which got shut down. They did the performance virtually, aired it, and they're doing a GoFundMe campaign to raise money for arts education for gifted students to get lessons of one kind or another with teaching artists. So that's a wonderful campaign too, because students get art lessons and teaching artists get income.
Yeah, that's a win-win.
The third is if you're part of the general public and you've participated in the arts, think about your favorite arts, culture, heritage organization, buy a gift card, see if they're selling merchandise online, make a simple donation in almost any amount that you're comfortable with to support them. You might actually also have services that you could provide. Maybe you're a CPA and you could do an audit, or you happen to be able to get your hands on, bulk quantities of masks, gloves, or disinfectant. There's a million ways, and you can certainly reach out to CNY Arts, but you can certainly reach out directly to your favorite organizations or individual artists, commission a work of art, or donate to that organization, find a way to support them while we wait to reopen appropriately, safely, and invite everybody back in for the wonderful experiences that they've come to expect in Central New York.
Mm-hmm. I love all of those ideas, and I know that we've been encouraging our former subscribers to renew your subscription. We are having concerts of some shape or form on every single concert date that we said, and we're really excited to offer that. But also, it's just a reminder that the subscription goes beyond just you coming to the concert hall. It's really about supporting this organization that you love so much. So thank you, Steve, for all you and your staff at CNY Arts are doing. We could not do this without you, and I was so pleased that we were able to have this opportunity to highlight this amazing work that you're doing in Central New York.
Well, thank you, but I also thank you for all the great work you're doing and for turning your attention to live streaming and virtual production so quickly and providing comfort and joy to so many, over these past months, as we've gone through this together, and will continue to do so. So thank you for all your good work.
Well, it has been our pleasure. This is what we do, and it's what we love, and so we're going to figure it out. Thank you all of you who are with me today, and stay tuned for our next Community Spotlight. We'll be back with more.